Really, I just have like 4 words in an encore to talk about. So
Perfect. And we're live.
We're live. Ready for the comments.
Hello,
Get him, RJ.
everybody.
Let's go. What's up, everybody?
How's everyone doing? PSA from Neil Landry. No wooing, Ryan, okay? None today. It's a Monday morning. We don't woo Mondays. Or any day. We
It's
woo
Monday.
on 2013, and that is it.
It's Monday, but we're here anyway. Ready?
We're here.
All right, guys. This is our first quick hit of the summer tour where we're all here. So welcome to us.
Oh, hi.
Nice to see everybody.
Hi.
This is a fun one. I mean, they've all been fun, I guess, but I feel like they've been listening to the podcast. We get a 6-song second set. There's none of this jukebox third quarter stuff, which I heard about on the internet. They're just going for it.
If they were really listening, they would have played an hour-long foam the other night.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
That's a good point.
Maybe Mike said no.
Hey. It's a thing.
Third night at Alpharetta. Seems like everyone who was there was having fun based on what I saw. And man, it's a real Sunday night show here. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, Brian. I haven't looked at Brian's rankings this morning, but I wonder how you guys feel like Sunday stacked up to Saturday and Friday. They all seem like extremely, extremely strong shows. But
I'd like to give a voice to the internet and say that I've seen mixed commentary on set 1 from last night, but it tilted low enthusiasm. But I don't agree with it at all, and that is the most attention I'm going to give that nonsense.
At least the internet has a voice on this podcast, you know?
I mean, I logged on to the internet just the other day, and I didn't like what I saw. So I've logged off. I'm not on the internet now.
I logged off the internet a long time ago because I like my friends and I like discussing things with my friends. My friends have a variety of opinions, which is very nice. I thought overall last night was kind of the first let's clear out the rotation show of the tour, which from a flow standpoint never fully works for me on a re-listen standpoint. Although I enjoyed the show in person, I have some significant highlights. I think last night was one of those shows that, to me, as I'm listening through a tour, can tell overall how the tour is going. And what I mean by that is, in a tour that does not have as high of highs as this tour has had thus far, a show like last night could feel like some people could throw around the term clunker. Last night was not a clunker at all because they're playing at a high level that even when there are stretches of the show where it's just like, let's throw this song out there and see if it hits. Let's throw this song out there. You have your Gin, you have your Melt, you have your Carini, you have your Sand, you have your amazing encore that showcases the band is performing at a very, very high level as is. And so even when there's kind of moments that, again, won't work for me on re-listen, I probably won't re-listen to parts of this show or this whole show as a complete piece. I still enjoyed those segments of the show more than I think I would have in a different tour. So we'll get into the details, but that's kind of overall how I felt about this.
Yeah, I felt like the show had some really killer jams. And I also felt like there was a really fun, playful vibe that I really liked. You know, you've got like Trey laughing during Limb by Limb. You've got the Fishmen coming out to sing. And then this yam dedicated to the fans because they like hadn't played a yam there in 20 years. I think the show is kind of full of heart, which is nice. And yeah, I think the first set was long. There's a lot of songs, but they were playing some really, really well and a cool new debut. I guess technically 2 debuts, but you know, 1 new song, which is awesome. So I thought it was fun.
They kind of blew past their 75 minutes in set 1, but then made up for it, shortening set 2 a little.
Yeah.
So still about the same amount of music between the 2 sets.
It was like 70 minutes, right?
Yeah, and then they went to like 80 or something, or 85. Yeah. But the laughing in Limb by Limb, I'm going to use that as an opportunity to address something that I see.
Well, hold on,
in the comments.
Just wait, because people don't even know what they played yet.
Well, I'm not going to talk about this any specific.
People don't listen to the show until they listen to the pod.
Exactly.
They that happened because there was a gaffe. They sang the lyrics a little wrong, and Trey thought it was hilarious, and they kept going, and they played, I think, a solid version of the song. And there were a few obvious gaffes in this show, which would put them significantly higher than the last couple shows, because I think they've played really clean sets prior to last night. That said, I don't think any of them derailed my listening, and I'm going to say they usually, like, they often do. Like, if they're playing Foam and Trey blows a chord or a line, or Esther or whatever, any of these kinds of songs, it throws me off often, and it has a lot in previous years. It didn't really get to me last night, so I would say it's still above the bar. And so that's a general discussion, RJ. If you want to get into the set list, maybe now's a good time.
Yeah, well, that was a good intro to the intro, and now we're going to get into the intro, and then we'll get out of the intro. All right, so where are we? Okay, Buried Alive into Wilson.
Somewhere near the intro. I'm not sure.
Into NICU, Bathtub Gin, Gumbo, Limb by Limb, Into the Well, debut, Mountains in the Mist, Halfway to the Moon, Split Open and Melt. Yeah, a lot going on there. But what were your highlights, Megan? Where were you most inspired here?
I mean, I love the gin. I thought that was just super dancey, fun, using like the effects really delicately. I think that's a theme that I noticed throughout this show and throughout this tour so far, is that Trey's really using his effects more intentionally and like integrating them in a more kind of like nuanced way. Whereas like last year, it felt like he would find his effect and just like play that effect for like a really long time throughout a jam. And you see him kind of like weaving them in and out more, I guess, more just easily and more kind of, which I guess is what happens when you have an effect for a while, or have some effects and you get used to them. And so it was cool to see that. And I thought there's a really nice peak before going back into the song. I really liked this version. I also really like the debut of The Well. I think this song is super cool because it's love and light until it's not. It's like, all these lyrics about like how there are stars and trees and like, it's just very love and light Trey. And then it's just super dark and turns into like a sci-fi soldier sounding song. It's just 70s rock ending. It's cool. And I'm excited to see where that song goes. And I also really love the Split Open and Melt, obviously, because super spacey, super weird. This jam to me showed like this willingness to sit in a dissonant space and not feel compelled to move on and find a melody. It felt really exploratory and really patient and very risky.
I love that you cited Sci-Fi Soldier on The Well, because I heard that too last night. It sounded a little Sci-Fi Soldiery, and just kind of the way they passed the vocal around and the screaming bits in the end. And it reminded me of that too. But I think I like it better than most of those songs.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a compliment for me, but yeah, it definitely goes there.
It caught some heat. That's one of the things that people on the internet were like, and I'm like, maybe I didn't listen closely to the lyrics the first time through, because I didn't. But I really love the sound. I love the vibe, and I really love the energy that the band had when they played that song. They were having a really good time. And when they are, usually I am.
Yeah, I felt set one. I mean, my highlights are very similar to yours, Meg. The Bathtub Gin. We're kind of just in the space where, like, I said this the other day, it's like not shocking when Fish plays these really fluid sets. It's also not shocking when Fish plays really interesting Bathtub Gins. We're just kind of in a period in Fish's history again. Like, Bathtub Gin has always been consistently good, but you go back like 10, 12 years ago and it never changed keys. It was just like a peaking gem, and it was very, very good at what it did. It was almost like how Wolfman's Brother was used in early 3.0. Now, post Magnaball, we're kind of in this era where every time Bathtub Gin it goes off into kind of an unknown terrain, and we get a lot of dissonance, and we still keep in that like groove space. And so it kind of feels like 1998, but like 1999 and 2.0, even, with like all like kind of the dirty effects that are going on. And it's just wild that song, every time it hits, you're not only getting a peak, but you're getting some really interesting music. It's a good space. It's kind of similar to Split Open and Melt. I didn't feel like last night broke any new ground or did anything more challenging than some of the earlier versions this year or some of the great versions we've heard over the last couple of years. But just using that song as kind of a canvas to just say, hey, these are what our tools and our toys can do right now, I'm in. On the well, I've already made one of my 3 points for tonight's show or for today's show. So I've got my second point right now. I will just read verbatim as I wrote it down because I think this is important, along with things like read the book and surrender to the flow. It's the importance of being open minded about new songs because they will
Mm.
just become songs and they will always inspire the band. Like at some point, you're going to hear the well for the fifth time and it's just going to be a Fish song. I think the challenge a lot of people tend to have is I'm listening to a show, I'm at a show, and now the band is playing a new song, and I have to kind of think a little bit, and I have to, you know, embrace this. And there's maybe lyrical subjects that I'm not prepared for, and it's a little bit different from what we've been hearing or from what the vibe has been for the show. It's so clear over the last 4 or 5 years that the new songs are what is inspiring this band, and that the new songs are what takes this band to another level. And the well, similar to Oblivion, similar to and Flew Away that debuted on Saturday night. These are songs that lyrically seem to really live in kind of a dark, challenged type of place, and musically seem to be, to your point about Sci-Fi Soldiers, I've always thought like the best part about Sci-Fi Soldiers was that it inspired a musical style that the band lived in throughout 2021. The songs kind of feel like tools rather than actual songs in some cases. And so there's like a purpose to them rather than like being really enjoyable to listen back to. The Well and Flew Away, which was obviously written before, but similar style, and Oblivion to me seem like this is where Trey is going songwriting wise post Sci-Fi Soldiers, where he's incorporating all that darkness in songs that you can really live with. So I loved The Well. I think it was great in Denver, and I thought it was a really cool debut that I'm excited to see what happens with that song.
I really like that. I just want to say, Brian, I think that that point that you said at the end there is super interesting about taking that darkness from sci-fi and putting it into like more palatable songs. Like, I just want to emphasize that because I hadn't thought about that. And I feel like it's really a helpful frame to think about these new songs.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to like get my highlights out there, which are pretty much your highlights. The gin is great. It's kind of just moves. It's dancey. I loved it. The split up and melt. You're absolutely right, Brian. It's not like breaking new ground over the recent versions of Split Open and Melt, but it's handling that vibe so well in entertaining fashion that I'll take a few more of these anytime. I also want to shout out the mountains coming after the well and after that weirdness at the end of the well. The
Yeah,
mountains was perfectly
Yes.
placed and also
great call.
beautifully played. The way they just eased that down to absolute silence at the finish was glorious.
So
Um,
pretty.
and yeah, I mean, I thought a pretty good set with a couple really high highs. RJ, where were you on that?
Well, I just want to say that I think Brian, to your point, and we've talked about that a lot. I mean, new material is the fuel for Fish improv. Like
Yeah.
it's basically a fact. I think it's not an opinion anymore, if it ever was. Like it's just how it works, and it's awesome. And I'm glad that you brought that up. The Well is a song that Tom wrote with Trey. I was asking him about it this morning. He said that the demo had a very pronounced Franklin's Tower vibe, so much so that he kept bringing it up to Trey. And then Trey said, "Don't worry about that even a little bit. By the time it gets fishified, it will bear no resemblance." So
That's
seems
so
to have
cool.
I
borne
love
out
that. I
for
love that.
sure.
Yeah.
I think this whole set to me is just like Paige is just sounding amazing this
Agreed.
tour. Like the
Yep.
Paige in the Well, Paige in the Gin. I mean, every jam. I mean, the in the Gin alone, he was. I think Ryan might have mentioned this in the comments. Like he was on piano, he was on synth, he was all over the place, and he was really, I think, driving it to this like beautiful kind of natural peak in that. And just it's amazing how it's just like the most reliable jam vehicle. Like Bathtub Gin is just going to
Mhm.
be awesome no matter what. It's so great. So that's what I got. It was a long set, but I don't know. It felt like it flowed to me, but I didn't watch the webcast, so maybe it didn't as much live. But I thought I didn't feel like it was like out of sync at all.
No, I think
I
it
didn't
just
either. The
it
other
was
shows have just had, like, excellent flow, I think maybe is what it is, like,
yeah.
you know?
It it all worked for me. Song to song to song. Um, and any show that opens with Buried Alive is going to get my attention.
And I'm not
So,
gonna be
Especially
there,
on a
so
Sunday.
yeah.
Two quick thoughts just based on what Jonathan and RJ said. Mountains in the Mist. Just check the notes. Stat boy over here. They played it 10 times in all 3.0. Since they came back from the
wow.
COVID break 4.0, they've played it 9 times. So they're clearly feeling the space of the song
9 times.
9 times. And similar to What's the Use, where they turn the silent part of What's the Use into like an element of that song in recent years, they are
It's a
doing the
feature.
same thing with Mountain. It's a feature. They're doing the same thing with
Yeah.
Mountains in the Mist. That silence is like the ballad playing that has been so good since they came back. Has really carried over there. But also to your point, RJ, Page, you're absolutely right. He's crushing it, and it just makes me think about the album that he and Trey released earlier this year, January. Amazing record. It is still in my top 20 of the year so far. I love, love, love listening to it. And you have to imagine that partnership and the creativity that Trey and Paige have right now, just recording records, the two of them, is having some impact here on both the jamming and also Paige's playing.
All right. So set 2, we get Mike's into Carini, the first Mike's into Carini ever, into Weekapog, Sand into Reba, more Encore, the night the lights went out in Georgia, Hold Your Head Up, You Enjoy Myself. All right. Someone take us away.
I just want to point out that because they didn't play Hydrogen, the set was a complete loss, and it's not that the short set was good. No, obviously, I might have preferred to have that in there. Mike's is always a good set opener. This Mike's was pretty just fine. It's nothing particularly special. The Carini, on the other hand, is absolutely glorious. What a great jam in that Carini. It's got just I'm going to steal your line, Brian. It's like classic rock kind of peaks. It's everything I want. It was so good. Listening to it again today and last night, it hits hard and it's delightful. Weekapog, fine. It was fine. Weekapog can be amazing. This one was just fine. But then great Sand to follow that. I mean, so those are my two big highlights. The Reba is also, it was good, but it was not, didn't push out the boundaries per se. But with that Carini and that Sand, you've got just great music and a pretty worthwhile set.
Yeah, I felt like that Carini I was listening to it and it was just giving me such a vibe and I was trying to figure out what it was. And last summer I tried surfing for the first time and it reminded me of that. Like you're waiting and once you kind of like pop up for the first time and you actually do it, there's this like weightlessness and this rhythm and balance feeling. And I felt like I was that's how that jam felt at the beginning. It has almost like this carnival kind of like carefree like weightlessness to it that's like really really pretty, and then it builds to this like really organic peak, which is like as you're riding on that surfboard you know that like it's not going to last forever and like you're either going to like jump off or you're going to fall off, and this is like you feel that like wave kind of cresting behind you, and then it sounds kind of like you just kind of like try to jump off but instead fall off and you end up in this like super cool like swirling shifting space and your board's like getting dragged down and you're struggling to kind of like regain where you are, and then you're like get back up on your board and you're determined to like try again, and that's what that like Carini, that end riff is, you like paddling back out to like try it again. I just felt like this Carini had such like it was a journey, like a really really good journey that was like really fulfilling, and I loved it. I thought it was just a great jam.
I just want to say that I think the Carini, like you said, Jonathan, the Mike's was fine, but I think this set could have easily gone into, and if they had gone into Hydrogen, I think there's a chance that they go into Hydrogen and then like it just goes into a bunch of songs as they're trying to kind of refine the direction of the set. And I think that the Carini shows just like they're not giving up on the set, They just
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not
Mm,
giving
love
up, they
that.
should try that second jam and Mike's. If they really want to not go song to song to try to find it, they should just stay in that first song.
yeah.
Stay on F. No, what is it? What is it for Mike's? I don't
Let's
know
stay
what
on
key it
F.
is. Just
Oh no, that's
just
Haley's.
yeah, that's
It's F
Haley's.
sharp.
But
It's F
yeah,
sharp
so
B
just
minor.
try that maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So they should do something different than they did. That's all we know here.
No, honestly, what they did was fine and good. Just
I know. I'm
It
just
is-
messing
a
with
couple
you.
minutes of hydrogen wouldn't hurt.
It is
Yeah.
funny because I think
Yeah.
to the group here, I think we do enter in the practice of oftentimes that what the band chooses to do, we try to interpret based on what the band chose to do and then discuss it off of that. The thing that is funny to me though is we always talk about David Bowie being when are we going to get that big David Bowie? Mike's song has had those moments over the last 10 years, starting with the Nashville 2015 version. But like, I cannot tell you every time that song starts, I will get a text from a close friend who is also watching that is like, my God, I hope this song jams. And even though we've gotten great Mike's jams over the last 10 years, people are still like, I just need the second jam. I
Ryan,
get it.
how
I
many of
understand.
them have we gotten?
'Cause it's
What
so
is
good.
your
Off
number
my
at?
dome, we've gotten I want to say 4, but I know I'm probably wrong. We got Nashville, we got the Baker's Dozen, we got Nashville 2018, and we got Shoreline 2021. I know I'm missing something. So
So we'll
someone
we'll round to 4 for you, and then I will say could be higher, but
could be
you're right, it isn't, and here we are.
Here we are.
The Carini kicked a lot of ass.
The Carini kicked a lot of ass. I don't want to. You guys said everything about Carini. I just want to talk about my third point of the show, which is the continued resurgence of Sand.
Yes.
Sand is such a fascinating song. This song sounds like everything that was in Trey's head towards the end of the 1.0 era. There's so many 17 to 20-minute versions where Mike plays the same 4 notes for 20 minutes and somehow agreed with Trey to do that. And then since 3.0, you've had really good rock versions. You've had versions like the Camden version from 2009 that was really the first significant jam of 3.0, but it always was in kind of this groove space. Since they came back here in 2021, you have August 6th from Deer Creek, August 28th from the Gorge, September 5th from Dick's, and October 29th from Las Vegas, all 2021 versions. Obviously, in 2022, we had the Deer Creek versions June 5th, Atlantic City August 5th, MSG 12/30/2022, and now this version from Alpharetta on July 16th. This song so easily traverses its original groove in a way that makes it just endlessly fascinating to me to re-listen to. There's clearly a lot of ideas that are coming out of this song. I encourage people to go back and check out all of these versions. Plus, they're doing this thing that they did last night. It wasn't that long, but they sneak back into the Sand riff and to the Sand groove, and then they kind of jam off of that, and it adds another layer and another element to it. It's just fascinating to see as this whole project continues to evolve and continues to unspool like in front of us. There are songs that were one thing at one point and are now a completely different thing. And if nothing else, that just shows this kind of endless creativity this band has right now. That is the reason we keep coming back and doing it, even if the show doesn't connect as much as another show does. Like, you still have those moments to really sink your teeth into.
I think the Sand was my favorite jam of the show
It was
by a
so
lot.
good.
Because like they worked in the effects and the noise, but also Trey's like he's just on top of it, in terms of his playing. There's not a lot of like chord groove. He's just leading through like all this stuff. It's a really fun and weird jam. Really pretty great.
Yeah, Trey is so hopeful and optimistic in this jam. It's beautiful. And then it's a journey, and it's only 16 minutes, but they go so far. I think, like you were saying, Jonathan, that, maybe the reason we're not going to have as many 20-minute jams as we're hoping on this tour is because they really are excellent at getting somewhere in these 15, 16-minute jams.
Yeah.
They're efficient now. And it's sometimes they don't need to play for that long. They can if they want to. I'm here for it, but they don't need to always.
I'm
I just would like
definitely
to-
here for the 45-minute, 75-minute jams. That would be fine. But
yeah.
the 15, 16, 18-minute jams they've been doing are outstanding. So I can't complain.
I just would like to respond to a user comment. The IP
Some
address
random
is
user.
coming from Canada, so I think that should be STOURM, but that's neither here nor there. Nashville 2018 was just the first jam. That is technically correct, but also they move into a completely different key off of the first jam. So no, it's not a second jam, Mike's, but it was an extremely modulated full jam off of Mike's song, even within the first jam. So
And-
technically you're correct, Storm, but overall incorrect.
I would say, just to back you up here, Brian, that the thing that I was asking were really about jams, Mike's songs that jammed. And so you gave me one.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, good. Glad we sorted that out. Okay. Well, we're approaching long hit, but we gotta talk about the encore. Beautiful
Yes.
beautiful moment.
Touching song from John Fishman. Actually, I'm going first because I'm the guy who's always here saying we need more.
This is your
songs.
encore.
This is you. This is
And
for you.
And this is what I'm talking about, y'all. This is my shit. We don't need it every night, but we do need it. We need this stuff to happen because it's so goddamn fun. I was laughing so hard. And Fish was having a great time. Trey was eating it up and having a great time. The song, of course, chosen because they're in Georgia, and Fishman has obviously, been studying guitar quite heavily, and I think it shows that the attention he's put into his guitar playing, and it was fantastic, just so fun to watch, hear, and hear his comments at the end, as you said in our text earlier, Brian, icing on the cake there. Yeah, so great. And then Trey acknowledges somebody's t-shirt, which if you read the t-shirt, it has some cringy grammar, but an accurate point that they hadn't played You Enjoy Myself in 20 years in Georgia. And so that's awesome. They played it like nobody, when he's announcing it, like who didn't listen live or watch live? I know it. Okay.
RJ.
So the other two of you, when Trey is saying, we haven't played this in 20 years, did you know what song it was? And were you shocked by the You Enjoy Myself, given the time and whatnot? I was.
Yeah, I knew what they were talking about. I don't know if some of the band did, because he looked around and some of them were like, and then he was
did
like,
have
oh,
to
maybe
speak to
maybe
his
they
mic.
don't know. Yeah, he's like, maybe they don't know about the t-shirt, but I know about the t-shirt. But I figured they were just going to go long, it seemed like. And they did. The encore was almost half an hour, right?
I forget who sent me a text earlier in the day with this information, because I think this was probably floating around the internet.
All right,
Yeah.
well, you
before
need
the
to
show
loop me into
started.
these texts because I was away from my computer all day, so I wasn't on the
Well,
internet.
To your
It was
point,
Megan. I thought Megan sent it to our chat. No,
is that who it was?
Did I?
no,
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was
I
someone
don't
else.
know.
I
I
remember
knew about
seeing
it
it.
from Twitter, but yeah.
I am pulling up a text that I sent because
It's
Ryan's
okay.
gonna get the
It's
get
okay.
the
Not
evidence.
important right now. So you weren't shocked. All right.
No. I had forgotten about it by the time, but what shocks me is
Brian has a list of the top 15 Fish moments when he was most shocked.
Okay.
We're not sure if last night's on
He
there.
probably
or not.
does. I'm not on that note.
Well, let me just bring this up because I had it here. Okay. Since 2003, they have played multi-night runs in Atlanta in 2010, 2011, 2013, 15, 16, 18, and 21. And that is not to mention
Wow.
single night shows there in 2012 and 2014. That is insane that they have not played You Enjoy Myself
It is.
during that period in time. Like that
Yep.
was actually shocking to go back and know A, they love playing Atlanta, and B, they've played Atlanta a ton. This is not like, hey, we haven't played You Enjoy Myself in Portland, Oregon since 1993. They don't
Right.
play Portland, Oregon. They play Atlanta all the time, and especially during 2010, 2011, 2013, they were playing You Enjoy Myself all the time. It's really, really crazy.
It's weird.
Consider me shocked. That goes on the list.
That goes on the list. Shocked and persuaded. Also, I just got to say, Neil, our friend Neil, hasn't seen a tweezer in 22 shows.
Crazy to
If
me.
that makes-
This is just so crazy.
Just come to a show with me or Megan, I think, and then it'll
Yeah,
work.
we see Tweezer all
Yeah.
the time. And also we're really fun to
Just-
see shows with, which I think Neil
That's a
probably
good point.
knows.
That's a
But,
good
mhm.
point. We saw Goose together.
Oh yeah,
Or we
saw
did.
Goose
We did it.
together.
I
Yeah.
mentioned Goose. Okay, I guess that's it.
Damn it.
The episode's over now.
Do you guys think the shirt thing is going to catch on for this tour the way that
I
the
gotta
signs
hope
did
not.
in 2011? I'm with you. I hope it
I
doesn't.
do
but, like,
not want that. to
remember the
happen.
first guy that brought the sign in 2011 and they were like, oh, we'll play your bust out. And then
Yeah.
every show was like,
Ugh.
hey, here's 400 signs requesting songs that are slightly not rare. Come on, guys.
Can
But I
I just want to
imagine the
sorry.
t-shirts are going to take off.
I hope
Not
they
into
don't.
that.
Brian, I just want to follow up with Neil did not post the follow up himself. Ryan did. That his last tweezer was at Cypress, which is a great flex. So that's okay.
Wow.
You should check the information on Ryan's post because, you know, we have, as we've proven in this episode, they might be slightly
Get the
inaccurate.
fact check. The fact check.
This
Thank
one
you
Neil's
to our
going back up. This one Neil's backing up. So we've got to
thank you to our production team, including our producer Ryan Storm, who does all the background research. All right, guys. I think this is it. I think we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
No other. You guys don't have any other comments on that night the lights went out in Georgia?
I think my only
It was silly as hell. Yeah,
my
there
only
you go.
comment
That's
is
what I need.
I was watching with some friends last night and they're all Fish fans and nobody was really saying anything during the night the lights went out in Georgia, and someone finally was just like, this is the best thing about Fish. They are playing a song that nobody has ever asked Fish to play poorly, and yet it is one of the most enjoyable moments of the show. And it's the kind of thing that you cannot really describe to a non-Fish fan, because like the place was going insane when the lights went out, the glow stick started going, and the lights came on. The roar. Sometimes you don't hear it on the webcast. You could hear it and you could feel it,
Yeah.
and that shit is special.
That's the best. That's so the best.
So is anyone
And-
going to Wilmington?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I am. I'm going to
Nobody
see
that I
Fish
know.
tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to see Fish
What?
tomorrow, you guys.
Say hi
Yeah.
for me.
I'm
Wow.
so excited. I was telling you guys beforehand, I'm staying with my parents. My girlfriends and I are staying with my parents. They're picking us up at
So
the
good.
airport. I sent my mom 4 different types of cereal that she should look for that I would like to have for a late night. You know, my friend Shay needs some soy milk. I need some oat milk. Like we have we sent like our lists of food. My mom just texted me like, do you want flatbread or wraps for your hummus wraps? Like I'm going to be totally taken care of. I'm getting
This is
shuttled to
great.
and from the venue by my parents. Like I'm so excited. I can't wait. My college friends are going to be there. It's going to be great. I'm excited.
It's going to be a 75-minute set, Mom, and then a 35-minute encore. Don't worry, we'll be out there on time.
Exactly. You know
Don't
where to
wait up.
meet
We'll
us.
be out of
We
there
have like
on
a special
time.
whistle if you can't find me.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. Well, we will.
Don't do drugs.
We will-
Exactly.
We will see some of us back here on Wednesday because we're doing this. We're keeping it moving, but not Megan, maybe, or maybe Megan.
I don't know. I might be. Maybe I'll broadcast from the beach if Brian lets me.
Like-
I know that we have like a rule about connection issues. I'm not sure. We'll see. No, he's
That's
saying
true.
Wi-Fi.
This is the first rule we've ever had in 10 years, so good for us.
Yep.
exciting.
Rules? Shit. Not on
All
that
right,
note,
everybody.
I'm beginning to think that there are no rules.
There are no rules.
Hmm.
Okay.
10
goodbye.
points to the person who gets that joke.
I got it. I have nothing.
Nobody got it. Okay. You guys clearly are not connoisseurs of I think you should leave, and that is a point against all of you. I'm sorry.
Apologize,
I've only
everyone,
ever
on
watched
behalf
every
of
episode
everyone.
once.
Okay. Bye, everybody.